We're seeing that the bourse is down today. Is it just profit takers back on the market?
Yeah, fairly high. Thanks for having me. I think basically, yeah, you have a bit of profit-taking activities coming into the market, but on the other side, the gains that been recorded in the market in the past 2 days has always been also been on a marginal basis. So really, it's more like action of traders and speculators actually pulling the market now. Nobody really coming in on a long-term basis, so you don't really see those huge jump in market indices currently.
Well, since you're a currency expert, let's focus on the Naira. It has strengthened against the US dollar on the interbank market, and this especially after NNPC said it would sell greenbacks to selected banks going forward. Is that the only reason that the Naira is showing strength currently?
Fairly, that is enough reason for the Naira to actually push and make some gains. When a major dollar supplier like the NNPC comes into the market, generally everybody prices the such action, and of course we see such reference coming into the price. Not only that, we have had some tickles of all the inflows from other fringe players actually coming into the market, though not of substantial volume, but comparable to the demand and any gap at the CBN window for the previous auction. We actually think that such gap must have been filled by the oil inflows that had come into the market. So really the only direction that you actually see the currency right now would be some marginal appreciation, albeit not so sharp, but I mean some marginal gains will come into the market on that. People will just generally play on the fringe side and expect to cover as they see further gains coming into the Naira.
Are you seeing a low demand for dollars at the moment?
Surprisingly, not so. We at the CBN auction today, we actually would have thought that the demand would be less than what was offered, but that's not what we got. We actually saw some upside on the demand as against what was demanded on Monday. So we do not see the demand faltering anytime soon. But I guess the various inflows that has come in would actually temper the price. So we do not expect to see such sharp movement in prices really on the downside for the dollar against the Naira currently. But I think we would actually see much of our price action driven by what happens not for the remainder of this week, but actually from Monday. For the remainder of this week, we actually think the currency will continue to trade on a stable basis. Albeit maybe like a plus or minus 10 come up from where it closed today. We'll continue to see that for the remainder part of this week, and for the next week we would take up on what oil inflows will come into the market. That will actually be a major driver of where the currency direction would be.
Let's quickly look at the CBN auction that happens every Monday. How different was the auction this Monday compared to last week?
Well, Monday, like I mentioned earlier, we actually saw a reduced demand, albeit maybe at about 80% of what the CBN actually made an offer. So we actually saw the Naira made some inroads at the CBN window, gaining about 20 kobo at the CBN auction. Even at today, we actually saw some gains, even as much as the demand was much more than what CBN actually offered. Against last week, we actually saw some depreciation on the Naira level on the CBN window, but this week we actually saw some gains. And like I said, we'll take our cue from today's demand to see that, okay, from next week, we think CBN might up the amount that they put on offer. We do not think that the demand might substantially be away from what the CBN will put on offer. But outside of that, like I said, the major driver would actually be any oil inflows coming into the market. Any major liquidity coming into the market would actually continue to see the Naira gaining. But outside of that, we'll see the Naira trading flat, and on next week basis, we might actually see the Naira lose some ground that it has made this week.
Well, Nwabueze, we're running out of time, and just very briefly, has your outlook for the currency changed since the beginning of the year?
Not exactly, Fendi. We actually projected stable levels between 150 and 151, and we've seen that running for most of the year, most of the months under consideration. We've seen some few spikes, but outside of that, stability has been a key word within the range that we expected, Fendi.